golden question when it comes to gaining muscle mass and strength is how much is enough when it comes to how many sets I should do in a day. Is there a cookie cutter formula? Is there research that shows this works over that? Is there a point where we get diminishing returns? It's not really worth going past that? Well, the answer is yes. And recent research out of the University of Florida Atlantic showed that you do not need to work out nearly as much as you think in terms of volume in general, whether it's size or strength we're talking here. So they did what's called a meta-regression analysis, which is different than a meta-analysis. It is actually a lot better, even. A meta-analysis just looks at a bunch of studies and kind of draws some conclusions based on what they all on average show to be true, at least for the most part. The regression analysis dives a little bit deeper, goes into each one. It looks at different variables and outcomes to see where the true inaccuracies in these studies were, what really is going on here. And so this is powerful research, is the point. And what they found was regarding muscle strength, after just two sets, now granted these are good sets, these are two sets that involve you lifting weight at least 80% of your 1 rep max. So that means the max you could do, say from 1 rep, was 200 pounds on the bench, right? That'd be 160 pounds, right? 160. You'd want to be doing 2 sets with that weight and taking a lot of rest between these sets. But after those 2 sets, the returns in strength, this is not size, strength, significantly diminish. In terms of how many sets you should do to boost muscle size before you get diminishing returns, 11. They said the magic number was 11. And so we're going to give you the 30 principle here in a minute, and you'll understand why, because you're probably like, wait, 11 and 2 is 13. I don't really understand. So the 30 principle, that's what we're going to remember. But after 2 sets, heavy strength training, returns diminish. After 11 sets, training at least 60% of your 1 rep max, because time under tension, that is how much time, right? That basically just says you want to spend a lot of time under tension with the weight to support growth in the size of your muscles, right? You want a lot of time so that, they have to bear that load and grow. But you have to keep in mind, that's got to be at least 60% of your 1 rep max. Other sources, many sources say 60 to 80% of your 1 rep max to promote optimal amounts of hypertrophy, aka the growth in the size of your muscles when it comes to time under tension. So we're looking at time under tension for these 11 sets. And those first 2, that's not about time under tension. That's about explosive, powerful movement with that heavier weight. And you're getting a lot of rest between those. The other 11 sets probably don't need quite as much rest. Okay, so we have 13 sets here. So what are we talking about in terms of our 30 rule? Well, how many times should you turn over a muscle group every week for optimal results in terms of gains in size and strength? How many times a week should I hit chest? How many times a week should I hit legs? On average, the research shows 2 to 3 times is on average the optimal amount of times you should hit the same muscle group per week to support gains in size and strength. So this 30 principle, well, 1, let's start with the number 15, because we said 2 heavy sets and 11 at volume. That's 13. I say 1 for good luck for each of them, right? So I say 3 and 12 is pretty safe, because after the 2 sets, you still have some gains after those 2 heavy sets in terms of strength. It's just that it diminishes. It doesn't stop, right? So if the 2 sets was here, maybe the 3rd one is like here. Maybe the 4th one is like here, and the 5th is like here, right? But 1 extra set, especially if you're training to increase your strength, couldn't hurt, I don't think, right? It's still not that many sets. It's probably less than you were doing before. At least I would hope, right? And I'm crazy. I used to do insane amounts of sets. I've done 120 sets of pull-ups in a day. I used to be neurotic, like do all this crazy stuff, work out 3 times a day. You don't need to be doing stuff like that. Now, in terms of the 11, why not 12? Because, yeah, diminishing returns after 11, but one more set of real nice, slow eccentric. What's eccentric? The negative, right? So if this is the positive or concentric, this is the negative recent. That's our strongest movement. So we want to do those really slow for the latter sets, for the ones where we're looking for the size, right? So for the 11, or I should say 12, that we would like to do. And if you're training more for size than you are for strength, well, maybe you just do the 2 heavy ones for strength, and then you do, say, 13, 2 extra for the gains in muscle size, right? Of those slow movements, no less than 60% of your 1 rep max. So either way, we're probably adding up to about 15 sets here of one muscle group. We want to turn them over 2 to 3 times a week. So if you did 15 of one, 15 of another muscle group, boom. It makes it a lot easier to hit them all on, say, a 5-day lifting regimen at least twice a week. So that's what we got for you guys. The magic number. Happy Wellness Wednesday, baby! My favorite day of the week. Definitely my favorite, even though it's not the weekend. I work on Wednesdays. Maybe I should take off Wednesday just so I can do this. But Wednesday is typically a busy day in the practice, so that would be tough. But we're about to go train some good people and treat some great ones as well. Who do we got on here? Romeo, what's up? Omar, how are you? Manny, of all trades. Nice to see you on here again. And the well-known As For Now. So we got for you, folks. We'll see you next Wednesday, baby. Didn't screw it up that time because it's the 3rd time we've been doing Wellness Wednesday, maybe the 4th. So we got it down pat. And we're not sure where, we're not sure when. But we will see you then. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks so much. Happy Wellness. Ciao.